The Oresha one Jidin, Jama, you want to color you Valana, Map on Hadam, Menam Jedu. Sanjay Jumden, Bejawa Shajatova, Sasan Jodo Jazo Jawa Damba, Jumden, and the Shinshavan Rajo Mayana. Zobe Sanjay Vana Shazund. The Oresha one Jidin, Jama, you want to Vakano. Lana Meva Hada Menam Jedu, Sanjay Jumden. Bejawa Shajatova, Sasan Jodo Jazo. The margin then the Java doesn't buy out Rivadon Shazon then one devarisha one Jidin Jamaji. Kalo Juvalana Mevalada Mel Sanjay Jumde. Bejawa Shajatova Sasan or Chodo Jazuchi. The margin then the Java doesn't buy out Rivadon Shazon then one devarisha one Jidin Jamaji. Kalo Giovanna Mebal Hada Menonje to Sanjay Jumden. Bejawa Shajato Vala Chasano Chedo Jazo Kansekanyan Zovo Jadamse Sajenten Maninji Dente Nacho Jazo Deseke Vajama Chas Nanda Kunga Chodo Susanwa Yishi Jazo Sejan Tavanji Densumala Meba Gombo Chonye Jama Chas Senjo Demba Chimen Davishi Sendo Dava Jama Chas The region of Seba Somaje, Yame Chinje Chama Gombo Tuji Chedemba, Tamje Jemba, Sonam Yune Jazo Jen, the Jin Shana Chas, Tabe Deja Chawaju, Giving as on the Chide Tenam Shojuba, Shinju Chana Chas, Trene Treva Layan, Lavatala, Shigatamba Yune, Ginduma Chas. The Vachia Meshashi, Gavapo Soba, Rangasim, the Yozo, Dennis Sanjay, Karmara, Mameda, Jumasa, Shubert, Melon, Gentle Baron, the Gentleman, Sonam Diatam Jeseva, Kovato, the Gadana, Shivala, Siveson,
to the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, full history, completely perfected, fully awakened. Perfect in knowledge and good conduct.
Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme higher being, teacher of gods and humans, to you the complete and fully awakened, the blessed one, glorious conqueror.
Subdue from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings and offer refuge.
To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme guiding beings to be teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge.
To the teacher, the blessed one,
the one
the full destroyer,
the
completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct,
Sugata, the Lord of the world, supreme guide of beings to be teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened, blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge.
when the supreme among humans,
you are born with discipline, you pace out some strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate.
With pure bodies,
For supremely pure, wisdom motion like golden mountain, fame that blazes in the three worlds, winner of the best, to you I prostrate.
with the supreme science,
Face like spotless moon, color
color
like
like
gold,
gold,
to you I prostrate.
you are immaculate, three words
and
incomparably wise one,
to you I prostrate.
Savior in great compassion,
The
teacher in all understanding,
the
field
field
of merit with qualities like a vast ocean.
to you the one gone to darkness I prostrate.
The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms,
The
the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the dharma which pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation,
the holy field
qualified with realization,
who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community, Tini.
Do not
Commit
commit
virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions,
Subdue your mind thoroughly.
This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, bubble, a dream of flash of light in the cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits, may sentient beings attain rank of all seeing, subdue the four forms, and be delivered from motion of suffering, of aging, sickness, and death.
Sanje Shonan Soji Shonan Chachu Pato Tane Jazoji, Nagin Jazoji, Sono, Dola Benja Sanje Jovasho, Sanje Shonan Soji Shonan, Chachu Pato Tane Jazoji, Nagin Jazoji, Sono, Dola Benja Sanje Jovasho, Sanje Shonan Soji Shonan, Chachu Pato Tane Jazoji, Nagin Jazoji, Sono, Dola Benja Sanje Jovasho, Sanje Shonan Soji Shonan, Chachu Pato Tane Jazoji, Nagin Jazoji, Sono, Dola Benja Sanjan Jobaresho.
I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Deja Shadon de Monomo Kunde Don Johnson, do the Medo Chinjolo, Tembanin Kunde, Kanda do the Medo Don Chinjolo, the Denjuma, Tedara Shin, and the Chin Yanda. Dagi Union Minion, Chidabunya Chubame, Temen, Yumanam, Union Minion, Yuma Teda Kangaya, Tan Juba Yumani, Kamer on the Kangay, Yumabata Yumani, Ranutashin Yuman, Yumachan, Ranutashin Yumajan, Yumabana, do the Meduchinjo, Rajan and the Yumano, do the Meduchinjo, Ten and Yumokanda, Sura Roda Rebata, Chida Jodan, Shidan de Jashan, Timogana Yumata. Sura Roda Rebana, Chida Jodan, Bajida, Chizet, Yumejibo Tabana, Sunyan Ramata, Dubatan, Joan in the Kama, Kanatena Dubashi and Dabam, Dabacha Meduba, and Dula Medu, Tijan Dubatamania, Kanatena Meduba, Dabachi Duba, Medu Medunia, Tijan Medutamania, Duba Yubamania, the Shayubakama, Medu Yubamania, Shavan Yubakama, Kedem, Tabashi, Dona Meda Yumebe, the Bachelor, Kedemeda Tabashi, the Danzamania. Dona Meda Powish, Zimbabwe, Congress and the Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Russia, the Shinzabayu, Lovaya, the Newton, Zimbabwe, Kana Shinjano, Kana Shinjamo, Chinjano, the Cuban, the Chinjano, the visit, Chinjano, the Madu, the Chinjano, the visit, Chinjano, the Christian, the Chinjano, the visit, Kana Chinjano, the Ninjan, the Chinjano, the Madu, the Shidab, the Yuva, Chinjano, the Game, and the Chinjano, Japan. One dollar made the Shannon given Dada Shannon, Jamin, the Chinjano Jacan, Keden Lada Zon, Tada de William, Lada Zon, the Tabat and the Washington Roman, Keden Lada Zon, the Tada de Woman, Damemes and the Dumayu Woman, to the Shinjano of Mariba, the Kawa Juru, Marin Gawa, the Jello of Gawa, Keden Lanium of Kandara Jiji and the Chidabon. Yavasuja Bomanja Kedana, Lenum of Kandara Jiji. Shidabuna Bomanja, Mevasuja Bomanja, Chinjano of Sheshiba, Radojivan Yusuma, Kangi, Mobatinjan on one, Mevania to the Yishin Messamic, Pemetala Chatsel. Okay. Round 2, stainless. I think last time we stopped here, right?
How enjoying results. Verse 2.4 CD.
How enjoy result of generosity through the successive life
successive lives depends upon morality. So this chapter is all about the importance of the morality. So without the morality, even there's the result from the generosity, you could not enjoy. So which means the result of the generosity still could experience within the lower realm, like hungry ghosts and animals, and then these realms you can still experience, but there is not much enjoyment. So the enjoyment, so what conditions, through what condition we can enjoy the result of the generosity is higher rebirth is important, like human beings or the God beings. So yeah, how enjoying the result of the generosity through the successive lives, many lives, depends upon the morality. Now the stanza says, when interest and the capital itself are both exhaust. So this was saying if we continuously born in the lower realm, so you may experience the result of generosity, but you are going to exhaust all the result of generosity, the interest and the capitals itself are both exhaust. No prospect remains for one of any future wealth. So the commentary says, if divorce of the morality, the fruit of one's generosity will ripen during existence in the lower realm. In this life too, one will experience merely the fruit of the past act of generosity owing to extreme foolishness. So due to the extreme foolishness, because of the lower realm, in the lower realms, one does not cultivate generosity and the like anew, right? And in this way, one exhausts the interest and along with it, the capital, the root itself. Then once the fruit of all past generosity have been spent, no perspective remain for one of any future wealth. So this is like, comparing the foolishness and then so human beings are more more intelligent. So if they think this is the condition that gives you resources, they will continuously invest, right? Continuously invest. If their plants, like 1 pound of the seed, by planting it, if you get 100 bag of the harvest. So next time you think, oh, I'm going to plant 10 pounds of that seed, right? If there's more harvest, they will continue to go on. So that if you're born in human and lower realms, because of the realm itself caused the dull-minded, so you could not see how you really, enhance to your the fortune. So consider the analogy. The farmer plants the few seeds to obtain the abundant harvest, and then the plants even more seed to grow more crops. For such men, there is no interruption or the fruit of his labor, since crops multiply. One, on the other hand, the foolish one who consume his crops without planting new seed will experience no such continuous increase. So this talking about the benefit of the continuously born in higher rebirth. So in order for enjoy the result of the generosity. So then the showing that it's extremely difficult to escape of the lower realms if one is divorced from the morality. So, and then they may be thinking maybe it's okay, just one time born in the animals realm, so we can come up again and be born as a human being and continuously practice the generosity. So then this is, if once you fall in this, the like a lower realm, it is extremely difficult to escape the lower realms if one is divorced from the morality. By breaking the leg of the morality, one will not only find it hard to obtain the continuous increases in the enjoyment of the material resources, one will also fall into the lower realms. Once in the lower realm, one will find it extremely difficult to escape. So this is presented in the following. So stanzas: if when free and living, when free and living favorable conditions. So we are living pretty much independent freedom. There is freedom, and we could make ourselves more more comfortable. So we do not retain this sustain we enjoy. We will fall into the abyss, right? Abyss, and be at the mercy of others. What could enable us to rise up again from such state? So even this, like for example, as a human being, that as we're born as human beings, we could have pretty much freedom to make ourselves comfortable, and we have idea, we have the condition, the resources to make ourselves more comfortable and more freedom. So even these conditions, the practice of the morality and the generosity is not really easy. And what if you're born in lower realm and there is no freedom, that everything is almost impossible to build the condition to make ourselves comfortable. So how can we how can we come up again as a human being? So, which means falling into lower realm is very unfortunate, and even that escaping from that state is also more difficult. So when like heroic, right? When like a heroic warrior who is living with favorable conditions, free of the bondage, we freely engage in whatever we wish without relying on others, and live in the congenial, celestial, and human dramas. So I forgot what's the meaning of congenial. Friendly, okay. Plenty.
Or favorable, to be like a favorable, friendly.
Yeah, celestial and human realms. If we do not retain this status, we enjoy and protect ourselves from the falling into lower realm. Then, just like heroic warrior who is bound and tossed from high cliff. So we will fall into abyss of the lower realm and be at the mercy of others. And we will have no freedoms. Once gone to the lower realm, what could enable us to rise up again from such a state? So there is nothing that will help do such thing. So so in general, it is extremely rare that one would cultivate the virtue while living in the lower realms. Furthermore, one will accumulate negative karma rapidly, so one will be compelled to pass birth after birth solely in the lower realm. So therefore, the sutra states, so now the sutra is saying, even one is reborn among humans once in 100 years, the two types of fruitions will occur. So in this saying that the result of the breaking the moralities, it may cause you to fall into lower realm, even even once we can escape or we can born as a human being, because of the karma that not really exhaust. So even in human realms, this human being will be facing I think there's a different conditions, different causes, like the violating the morality of the killing, right? Killing and the stealings. They each causes a different result. Like so, even in a human being, if you're born as a human being, maybe fortunately something happened accidentally, so you just escape from the animal and born as a human being. So foolishness and facing a lot of difficulties, right? So these are the result of continuing of the continuity from the breaking the moralities, right? So falling in the lower realm, even you are able to something something may happen that you may born a human being. So that human being is also almost like lower realm. So sometimes this is as a result of the killing, and that human being continues the human born in human being, always short life and a lot of getting sick all the time, right? And the result of the stealing, and always, even in a human being, facing difficult for living, and sometimes not trusted by others. So this is even as a reborn as human realms, 100 years, two types of the fruition will occur. So thus being reborn as a human being is said to be difficult indeed. So starting now, we must prepare so that we do not fall to the lower realms. For these two, we need to strive in moral discipline. So the reason discourse on the morality comes after the discourse on generosity. So morality comes second. The first is generosity. So why the same? So therefore, having engaged in the discourse on the generosity, thus the Buddha, they proceed to discourse on the morality. So therefore means right. Therefore, so kind of to be liking the practice of generosity, and also kind of desire to experience the enjoyment of the result of the generosity continuously. So therefore, Buddha second, right after the generosity, Buddha discourse on the morality. So the morality is the one that enable you to experience the result of generosity in many lives. With the procedure morality, when the qualities springs up in the field of morality, the enjoyment of their fruit will become continuous. So then the opposite of the immorality is the core source of, numerous flaws, such as being led to the lower realms, having engaged in the discourse on the generosity, the Buddha, who has defeated all the negative karma, proceeded to the discourse on the morality to ensure that quality like generosity do not become waste. So, which means practicing generosity and not focusing on morality and born as an animal, so you may receive the result of generosity. So it's almost like, as I mentioned, nagas and some the hungry ghosts. So they do kind of possess the result of the generosity, but they could not really enjoy. Rather, this become the cause of more suffering to them. So this is to say that he has conducted the discourse the subsequent to the generosity. The reason is that morality, as the foundation of the quality, all qualities, is the field when qualities such as generosity and so on spring up in this field of the morality, then acts of giving and so forth, as well as enjoyment of their fruit. Such excellent physical form, such as excellent physical form and wealth, will become continuous. In this way, the array of such excellent fruit will increase, and one will be able to enjoy this for a long time. Otherwise, one will not be able to enjoy the continuous fruits. So the significance of the above line is that those who give should consider not only the possibility of the perfect enjoyment of the wealth. So this is the ordinary people do, right? So ordinary people who is not has much genuine desire to seeking for the liberation and enlightenment, rather they always look for resources, the wealth in this life and next life. So those people kind of their desires mainly focus on the physical, perfect enjoyment of the wealth. So, which is the fruit of the generosity, but they should also consider what perfect form of the existence is for enjoying such material resources. So what the perfect form of the existing for enjoy such material resource, and how one can enjoy such resources across successive lifetimes. For these two, one should understand that moral discipline is extremely important means. So what this is saying, the significance of this lines, right? So those who give should consider not only the possibility of perfect enjoyment of wealth, which is the fruit of the generosity, but they should also consider the perfect form of existence. Existence means now, like human realms, the God realms. So material resources enjoying in the higher realms. One enjoy the resources, the successive lifetime, not only one lifetime, many lifetimes. So for that, the most important, the main cause here, the substantial cause to be born in fortunate realm is the morality. As for the Bodhisattvas on the beginner stage, they too must strive in act of giving, explained above. So they must undertake this for the purpose of attaining the Buddhahood, for the benefit of all sentient beings. So Bodhisattvas, from the beginning, so their desire, their aim, the practice of the generosity is to be able to benefit all sentient beings, not just oneself to be the, born as a fortunate realm. Such intent to beneficiary of such aspirations. However, in the near term, the fruit of their generosity must ripen during their existence in the higher realm, and this must occur over successive lifetimes as well. As for such birth, this depends on the morality, and without such form of the favorable existence, the condition for practicing Bodhisattva's deed will remain incomplete. So I think not only this generosity and the morality, so other cosmic conditions like bodhicitta, compassion, wisdom realizing emptiness, and then the dedications. So all these for the Bodhisattvas to practice continuously go on the Mahayana path many lifetimes. So they have to practice this, the 10 virtues and the compassion, every conditions that they're possible for to complete their path. So they also say sometimes the Bodhisattvas, while they're in the kind of helping sentient beings continuously, ordinary Bodhisattvas, sometimes they face difficulty, finding the conditions, finding things like, for example, so some Bodhisattvas are getting old and sick and disabled and not being able to find the medicines. So these are also some kind of, the result of the breaking the moralities. So there's one of the Lama Tsongkapha's disciple. I think his, I forgot his name, Kunchen. So he born after the Lama Tsongkapha passed away, but in his dream, they continuously receiving all the teachings from the Lama Tsongkapha. So he mentioned many times that I remember in the past lifetime. So he born as a disabled many times, and Then these are also because he born as a king, right? As a Bodhisattvas, and they are kind of they're determined is to attain the enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. So as they born as a royal family, becoming king, he punished many peoples. So after the born as a king, the next life, many times he was born as disabled, like blind and could not hear, so kind of disabled. So, so the morality is always, even sometimes, the result continues the ripening, even in the Bodhisattva's path, Mahayana. Even that person is Bodhisattvas, right? Sometimes Tantrayana practice. So we have some Tantrayana practice. So there are some, the wrathful, the practice to, to destroy the evil force. And they use this kind of ritual many times. Some Lama, they do that many times to destroy the evil force or the spirit, negative spirit. So actually, through the mantra, they're killing them. So some Lama born in the next life and disabled, and they remember that because he has this Tantrayana practice. So killing those spirit, right? Destroying them, destroying their life. So as a result, so karma has no compassion. Karma can't say, oh, you are special, you are Bodhisattva. No, karma always follows whoever that person is. Right? Even during the Bodhisattva movement, many of the Shakya people killed during the Buddha, when the Buddha was nearby, and there are some kind of soldiers come from different different like kingdoms, so they come, and some of the Shakya were killed. I think Buddha was very close at the time, and then so there are some disciples. They went to the Buddha. How come that is possible while you are here? So all the Shakyas were killed. And Buddha says, this is also one of my karma because of being passive, so not involving in many lives to stop negative things. So being like, indifferent, or I could not do that, or so Buddha says, this is also one of my karma. Right? So normally, when the Buddha were the present at the time, it's almost impossible. Things could, like, very unfortunate things happen during the in the presence of the Buddha. So this was exception. People are very curious why this is happening. So Buddha told the story in the many lifetime why he was in the Bodhisattvas. So sometimes he remained passive. So these are, so the karma, right, make no discriminations. Buddha or the Bodhisattva or ordinary people.
This is a bit of a difficult issue, right? Because, I mean, I don't know. Can you be active for the sake of being active? You think it's the right thing to do, and you're active. That's good. But it also takes some degree of discriminating wisdom. Otherwise, your action in a critical situation even your intention, although in Buddhism, even your intention is good, your intention will protect you. Even if the result is bad, your intention will protect you. That's how I understand the teachings of the Buddha, as long as you maintain good intention. But nonetheless, you can take sometimes, if you lack the wisdom, your actions may result in a lot more harm. You may intend to stop harm. You may actually create a chain of harm. So, I mean, if you take the story you just told at face value, gee, we shouldn't be passive. I mean, that's true. There's some truth to that story. But applying it, how do we know how to apply it? This is not so easy, is it?
So this is like sitting in the airport. Gee, how these people flying these big iron things. so if you want to know and go to school and study how to fly the airplane, so don't say just, gee, how these people could. So I think here the kind of the main message is the main message is the morality. I don't know how this really interpreted correctly, more accurate in the English speaking language. And also there are some kind of, in the Tibetan language, this has built for many generations, even the terminologies. So when it says morality and discipline, and then the kind of what do you call legal the actions. I think there's a lot of kind of different things there. The rules, disciplines, legal actions, and then here the morality means there's one like the about the morality. One is to know what is immoral, what caused immoral, right? So prevention of the condition that caused immoral, right? Like the applying antidote or the remedy to reducing the anger attachment or anger attachment, or not just kind of this is the one. This is moral. Moral means you are trying to prevent the cause of immoral actions, right? Those afflictive emotions by reducing them. Or moral means you are not really letting the kind of letting the immoral actions, right? You try not to engage, or try not to engage immoral actions, negative immoral actions. So for example, if this is like, for example, you have no knowledge to apply to reduce the afflictive emotion, but you want having taken these vows, you try not to engage in negative actions, although you have no antidote to apply, right? So like, this is my promise. I already took the pledge. I took the vows, therefore I could not. I rather not to engage. So these are, the moral, here the understanding, the understanding of the characteristic of the morality is either you are applying the antidote to immoral cause, or you just resist immoral actions. Right? Two things. So the most important things is about practicing the morality is resistance and the application of the antidote towards the negative emotions. So here they're saying you need both, not just resisting, right? And preventing the cause of the immoral and resisting the immoral actions. So two things. So now as a Bodhisattvas, he is a Bodhisattvas they resisted reason to resisting the immoral actions, and the reason to applying the antidote for the immoral cause is out of compassion, because I already, for example, compassion towards every sentient being without exception, right? So this Bodhisattvas, almost like every day, the whole day, their intention to benefit every sentient beings. So which is pretty much helping them to kind of, go easy with the resistance, like not desperations. There's some kind of, because I genuinely kind of, love the every sentient beings. Although this individual or these people or some of the individual are very, very annoying, but my promise to benefit every sentient beings, and these people also included those sentient beings, right, out of compassion. So, so this is how the morality is not because of the rules that's set or written, or this is legal that's passed by the government, right? Legal actions passed by government, not just because of that, because once inside, internally, and determined to apply, right? So two things: resistance and applying the antidote towards the cause, the immoral, immoral cause. And Bodhisattva always kind of practice through, the generating compassion towards the every sentient beings. So this is how we should understand the morality here. And then some of the moralities is some of the moralities is like, kind of, there is no, for example, even there is no any the negative emotions that really causing to act or compelling you to act negative things, but sometimes out of ignorance, not knowing, or just too neutral state. So not being able to recall what you have promised, and you're continuously breaking that. So this breaking the law is not because of the negative emotions, not because of the positive emotions, simply not paying attention, not remembering. So these are also count as the kind of immoralities, right? So now, why this morality, although it's not done by negative emotion, and why this has to be kind of immoral actions which may cause you to fall in the law realm. So now the truth is not because of my negative emotions, because I took that promise in front of Buddha and Bodhisattvas. Right. So, like, when you use harsh word, like the simple harsh word, like what, like something like that, right? So if you're saying that to the dog, if you're saying that to the wall, if you're saying to the stranger, the same actions if you use with your mother, that because of the mother, this action becomes so powerful, right? So same action that you use with dog, same action that you use with table, computer. So the same action, because of the mother, it makes more powerful negative karma. Similarly, the action that you are violating unknowingly with very neutral state of mind, but the promise that is done before the Buddha and Bodhisattvas or the communities. So simply violating those morality also cause you to fall in the lower Rama. So this is why they call the kind of the vows that the breaking the vows or breaking the promise is called downfall actions. It's not necessarily ill deed. So downfall actions.
So is that means it's better not to take the vow because you may unknowingly, break the vow. But from the other hand, when you take a person take the vow, have a good intention, want to keep it. So, you could have a good intention, want to keep the vow, and you take the vow, then it also could happen unknowingly you break the vow.
Yeah. So I think you take the vows and not serious. If you take the vows and not following, and so it's better to not take vows. If you are able to take vows and being able to follow the vows, there's a greater benefit than not taking the vows. So it depends on how brave you are. So how this is like like business field, right? There's always risk. So there's kind of people who successful in their business is through taking the risk. So not taking risk, and you can only sell small cookies on the street or some flowers. So people would take more risk. They're more successful, more beneficial. If they fall badly. So it depends on you, or you just want to stay there in the cave, or you just go out and take risk. So yeah. So now this is not but just for the one life. This is for the kind of in the future, right? The future. If the whole it's all about this life, and then we can just stay not doing anything, just drink water and eat something and enjoy. But the future is uncertain. So you want the benefit or happiness or successful or peace for not just one life, many life. And not just that, you want to happy for yourself. I want to make happy or to be benefiting every sentient beings. For that, someone who took this kind of promise, someone who has this kind of determinations, they should go and take risks, taking the vows, the moralities seriously.
Yeah, the risk is kind of, always there. No pain, no gains. That's so there was some small pains. Okay, we just continues getting up. So yeah, proclaiming that morality is the cause of both higher rebirth and a definite goodness. So definite goodness and the nyelek means liberation and enlightenment. So stanza says ordinary beings and the speech-born Sharvaka. Ordinary beings, ordinary sentient beings. Speech-born Sharvaka means Sharvaka practitioners. They call speech-born because they they complete their path while remaining in the community, sangha, and continuously receiving teaching from the Buddha. So this is called speech-born. So, and who are established for self-enlightenment, the Pratika Buddhas. So Pratika Buddha is not speech-born, means they don't really much rely on the community. So they have very sharp mind and some sense of pride, and then not much interest in socialize, kind of. So those Pratika Buddha and gain knowledge, conviction from the Buddha and teacher, and then next life they're born without the teachers, they enlighten by themselves. Self-enlightenment, they says, Pratika Buddha. And the children of the conquerors is like Bodhisattvas. The children of the conquerors of Bodhisattva, as to their definite goodness and the birth in the higher realm, the cause is none other than the morality. So the morality is the only fundamental it's a foundation for better rebirth, for liberation, for enlightenment. Both of the attainment, physical existence in the higher realm, as well as lasting enjoyment of the fruit of the generosity while living, three depends upon morality. Living there, while living there depends on the morality. Morality has indispensable, right, for attaining the definite goodness. So without this, you cannot attain enlightenment. You cannot attain liberation. Even there is no, you can born as higher rebirths. So indispensable for the attaining the definite goodness as well. In this manner, the cause of the birth in higher realms for ordinary beings who have not yet entered the path, and the cause of the definite goodness for Sharvaka, who are born from this sage's speech, Buddha's speech. For those who are established for the path of self-enlightenment, the Pratika Buddha, and for the Bodhisattva, who are children of the conqueror, is none other than the moralities. These are all standing on that, the morality. The meaning here is not that morality is the sole cause. So meaning here is, so if some people may from this line, from this chapter, some people may think, oh, morality is the only cause for rebirth and the definite goodness. Then says, no, not only the moralities. Meaning here is not the morality, is the sole cause. And that other causes us
somehow excluded. For there are numerous causes beside the morality. The meaning rather is that to achieve an exceptional birth in the higher realms and to achieve definite goodness, all other conditions must be definitely connected to the morality. If it is shunned, this fruit can never be achieved. So the morality is saying that is the fundamental cause, not the only cause. Right? So there's a lot of causes and conditions. So this line actually summarizes what is stated in the 10 Ground Sutra. There are each of the 10 virtues, such as taking life. Each of the 10 non-virtues, such as taking life, is divided into great and middling and small degrees, which lead to respectively to the hell, to the animal realm, to the hungry ghost realm, depending on how strong the action is. Even if one is ultimately born among humans, having taken a life, for instance, brings forth two undesirable effects. What's that? Brevity of the life. Brevity means
Short life.
Short life, yeah. Short life and abundance of illness. So these are from the killing. And likewise, each of the remaining 9 acts also brings about two undesirable effects. In contrast, the 10 virtues result in birth is humans and celestial beings in the desire realm on up to peak of the existence, the formless realm, the peak of existence, the formless realm. So in the formless realm, above this, if the 10 virtues are accompanied by the intermediate intention, 10 virtues accompanied by intermediate intentions, one that focus on this securing one's own welfare and renouncing the second existence out of fear and without great compassion. So this is like Hinayana practitioners, relying on the 10 virtues, the morality, and this all 10 virtues practice done by out of fear. So fear of falling in the lower realm. So they hold on these moralities.
That's what the intermediate intentions.
Yeah, intermediate intentions. So the two kind of intentions, one out of fear, everything that is done becoming positives due to out of fear. So intermediate intentions, they focus on the securing one's life, welfare, and the renouncing sacred existence out of fear, without out of fear because they do not have, they are lacking the great compassion. And if this is thoroughly purified by means the wisdom that realizes selflessness by following, so another words, one will definitely gain freedom through the Sharvaka vehicle. Above this, if one's final life is second existence, one does not rely on another's power, focus on awakening of the practical Buddha. So as I mentioned, the Sharvakas called born of speech or sage's speech. So they're relying on the community, right? The community, and they continuously receive teachings, contemplate, gain knowledge, and they attain the liberations within the community. So the practical Buddha is unlike the Sharvaka, right? They receive the teaching from the Buddha and the teacher, and they gain knowledge, and then next life, so without the teachers, without relying on the community, so they gain knowledge, and I attain the liberations, practical Buddha. And if without great compassion, skillful means, one comes to be purified by the, penetrating the truth of profound dependent originations, one will definitely gain freedom through the practical Buddha's vehicle. So practical Buddha, I don't know why this is, practical always says they gain profound knowledge of the dependent originations. So practical Buddhas, they continuously born 100 times in a higher rebirth and continuously cultivating the merits 100 times. At the end, so without teachers, they kind of attain the liberations. So this is called Rangsanje, the the rhinoceros, kind of, what you call Rangsanje. Rhinoceros, they always live kind of isolated or remote from the others. So this continuously born 100 times in the higher rebirth and cultivating the merits, and then they decide. So after that, attain the liberations, right? So they always says, "I have no teachers." This, Arhat says.
But this is still not a full enlightenment.
It's not a fully enlightenment. It's not a great enlightenment. It's the kind of self-enlightened. So it's a liberated being, but not in the Buddha. So kind of much greater than the Sharvaka. Sharvaka relying within the community, receiving teaching, gain knowledge, and they attained Arhat. So the fastest, the Arhat, the Sharvakas in 3 lives, right? So they just kind of, while they are relying on the community, they attain liberations very fast. So practical Buddhas is without depending on the Buddha and Bodhisattvas. So they continuously born again and again, 100 times. And while they are born and live in their life, they cultivate the merits. So mostly those practical Buddhas, when they kind of, while they are kind of living in a higher rebirth, mostly they practice silence. And they don't really speak much. They don't really talk much. So through the gestures, they sometimes, by doing the miracle things, they help people to generate faith in Buddha and Buddha Dharma and Sangha, but they don't much really interact with people and like verbally. So, so they always says, and I have enlightened by myself. I have no teacher. So they are, from the beginning, they have this kind of personality from the beginning. When they are first kind of, join in the community, from the beginning, their mind is much sharper, sharp-minded, and they always kind of, resist to socialize. And the Shavaka and the Bodhisattvas, they have the kind of culture, they have the culture to talk about the teachers. I received this teaching from that teacher and this teacher. Shavaka almost never kind of, talks about their teacher. So a sense of a little bit pride that, I think this it's quite true in the monastery. You see, when there are a lot of monks, you see some monks like that. I know one monk is very, very good in debating, but rarely you can see he is opening book. So what he does is he always listens in the class from the teacher and listens from his classmate. Just by listening, he understands better than the classmate. So when you go in his room, always sleeping or just playing. Almost rarely he opens books, but he can understand easily. So when the teacher's explaining, he understands. If you don't remember some lines, you listen from the classmate. So then he just memorized that. So some of mine like that. Some they put a lot of effort to memorizations and so many things that do it. And kind of understanding is very small. So yeah, profound dependent originations. One will definitely gain the freedom through the Pratyeka Buddha's vehicle. About this, if one has loving heart that is vast and limitless, if one is endowed with a compassion, if one's path has encompassed the skillful means, if one makes great wave of the aspirational prayers, if one does not forsake sentient beings, so not kind of neglecting one single sentient beings, even that sentient being is their enemy, the most kind of, most biggest enemy. But in their mind, they have some kind of strong connection, compassion towards that, right? So yeah, and one comes to the purified, the focusing on the expansive wisdom of the Bodhisattva, expansive wisdom of the Buddha, one will totally purify the Bodhisattva's ground and achieve the vast deed of the pure perfections. It is this point from that sutra, the Chandrakirti summarized here. The friendly letter, yeah. Chandrakirti means these ordinary beings and speech-born sarvakas like that. Now, this is a friendly letter 2 says that pray, cultivate morality that is undamaged. So which means not violate, you haven't broken the vows, and even not broken, but you may have decreases, right? Low in the stream, like you're almost breaking, but you could not dare to break the vows. So the morality damage and low esteem, how's that? Unadulterated and untainted. So damage means you have already broken, violated the morality, and the low esteem means although you haven't break the vows, but there's a constant. For example, if you haven't engaged in stealing, but the constant in your mind, so kind of even in the dream, even there's some kind of there's an intention, the desire continuously going out to the negative actions. So that's a low esteem. Manyam mima maba unadulterated. Adulterate, this is like bhagavad means. Although your morality you haven't broken. You have always applied to kind of reducing the immoral cause, negative emotions. But all this, but still there is some kind of habit. It's a strong habit, habitual. So that continuously, the wave that many times you're about to break the vows, right, out of habit. So, and then then someone, so your morality is not damaged, not lost in, not adulterated, is unadulterated, but still your morality is often associated or overpowered or bound with the grasping of self person, self phenomena, right? So that is also you call morality, although it is pure, but it's tainted with misconceptions. So pure morality and the perfect, right? The pure and the perfect moralities. So second ground, the Bodhisattvas, their morality is not just pure, it's a perfect, pure and perfect, because the morality is pure because there is no intention to violate the vows, morality, and you haven't physically or verbally never engaged the violating the moralities, and your morality is sustained, underpinned with the wisdom realizing emptiness, the perfect wisdom realizing emptiness. So the second ground of the morality is like pure and perfect moralities. So the morality is taught to be the basis supporting all qualities. Again and again saying this is the foundation of all good things. Thus, training in the morality has been stated to be most important. This statement above have been made in the context of the second ground, but in terms of the actual practice, even the Bodhisattvas on the beginner stage need to engage in the practice of the morality. One must, for instance, contemplate as a crucial ethic of applying resistance against the 10 non-virtues, guarding even against motive that give rise to them, just as the state in the line above. The wealth through generosity is found up to the cause, is none other than the moralities, right? Now, what makes you the receiver, the good receiver of the generosity, is the morality. And every time one trains them in the morality, one must do so the basis of being sustained by the wisdom that realize things without objectifying them. In addition, mere intellectual understanding and familiarization on a few occasions will get one nowhere. One must contemplate this point on a sustained and a regular basis. So even someone who has gained the knowledge of the interdependencies, so this is saying that, so simply one time or the few occasions, the understanding, being able to touch on that is not enough. So the regular basis, you have to contemplate and meditate on the absence of intrinsic existence that can helps you to purify your morality, makes yourself easier to hold on the morality, to go with morality. So then the time will come when mind engage this with natural ease. So then this is like, this was saying that monastic, kind of fully ordained monks, 253 kind of monastic vows is based on the 1 day's Buddha Shakyamuni's, his kind of, his lifestyle. So they're based on 1 day Buddha's lifetime. And then the monks who follow the Buddha and try to behave like the Buddha. So which means Buddha's this kind of, not Buddha is, for the Buddha, it's just natural. So this is no longer a kind of morality to them. It's just nature, right? So it's 1 day his practice, kind of life's. Even the practice of the Bodhisattva's deeds, which when one first hears of or tries to engage in, may make one disheartened. Some of the Bodhisattva's practice, it seems impossible, right? So continuously practicing, and so you can find yourself the more kind of finding it easier and easier, and then one day it becomes the natural. So perfection of the generosities, the moralities, the concentrations, and the dedications. So there are many different dedications of the Bodhisattvas. Some Bodhisattvas are dedicating their merit. They create almost like it. For the ordinary people, it seems like fantasy. So Bodhisattvas creating this kind of fantasy. So when I become enlightened, each of sentient beings going to possess the 5 clairvoyants. So they dedicate this like each sentient beings. And each sentient beings, they could go and within a second or minute and go to different realms of the Buddhas, they're receiving the teachings. So they create that kind of, for us it's a fantasy. So for them it's a practice, right? Their practice. So they imagine each sentient beings like powerful to be able to not only protect themselves, so they gain so many good qualities. Right? And then some of the Manjushris and the Maitreya Buddhas, they have different dedications. And some Bodhisattvas, they says, when I attained enlightenment, all these planets, there is no thorn. So every kind of, soil is like a kind of, what do you call, like a soft, like, what do you call, sponge. So this kind of, they create this kind of, wish for every sentient beings. So, and it's also a truth, these dreams will come true. In his realm, when he becomes the Buddha, in his realm, those Buddha and Bodhisattvas and the kind of essential kind of, Bodhisattvas, they're born, even the birds and the animals. So they are quite peaceful and happy. So these are the kind of, these are called almost impossible. So they try to make it kind of real. Even those deeds that, the first we engage, disheartened, even those deeds that are our teacher, the Buddha, was not able to put into actual practice for a long time. So the Buddha he has perfected many good qualities from the beginning. He finds it's impossible for him. He finds it's difficult, but he continues, and he has perfected his every qualities. So I think that's why, there's a he makes even every breath that comes out from his body, right, is he dedicate this will benefit every sentient beings, even the one breath. Right? So the practice of the long time, the presence to the one with infinite quality states. Even just hearing about this causes beings great distress. Those deeds that even you did not engage in for a long time, through familiarity in time, these deeds come to you naturally. Thus, these qualities are hard to enhance without utter familiarities. So, means try, not just one time, 1,000 times, not just 1,000 times in one life, and many times, many lives, 1,000 times. So this Bodhisattva's determinations. An analogy for how the Bodhisattva does not mix with forces opposing the moralities, just as the ocean and the crops do not remain together, and just as a good fortune and calamity do not keep company, likewise the great one who are governed by the morality do not wish for company of immorality. So just as the great oceans, because the obviously clean Naga serpent live there in the ocean, right? The cast shore by its tight, right? All the crops, and does not remain together with the carcasses. Carcasses means
it's like a corpse. It's the dead body.
A dead body, okay. The river stay with dead body, not the oceans don't stay together with the corpse. Yeah. And just, I think this is maybe, so there's something, the culture kind of, some concept that is from the culturally. In Indian, Ved Purans, so there are many cultures, they think that in the ocean there's all the powerful Nagas that live there. So Nagas, they always keep themselves very clean. So any dirts they come, they just put it aside. So because of the Nagas that they say. So for us, maybe it's because of the wave. Because the wave of the oceans. And then the rivers, they don't have wave, right? So they just continue to go. And just as the perfect factors of the good fortune do not keep company with Lady Black Air calamity, likewise the great ones of the second ground who are governed by the thoroughly pure morality do not wish with the company of immoralities. So here, this is also something to do with the culture from the Indian cultures, and particularly the stories that taught in the Ved Puran. It's the Mangala. So these above the reference do not contradict with the statement commentary on the 100 400 stanzas that there, where Lady Auspicious Mangala lives, without doubt, Lady Black Air Kalakana can be as well. So there's the statement referred to the two individuals bearing those names. Here, Lady Black Air is the term of the misfortune. So this is the Ved Puran. It says, I think Ved Puran also the different stories that some sadhus kind of tells the different stories. Sometimes some sadhus say Lakshmi and Alakshmi. There's the two lady, the sister. So one goes with fortune, one goes with unfortune. So these two are sisters, right? So, but wherever the fortune lady goes, and the definitely unfortunate kind of nearby there is ready to come take place. So if this person is not able to hold his kind of good qualities and he falls, then Lady Misfortune comes with him. So the division of the perfection of moralities, who relinquish what and in relation to whom, when any of these three are objectified, such morality is described mundane perfections. Free of attachment to these three is supermundane morality. When someone is incapable of seizing the seed of objectifying the three as well, a person who relinquish what object of abandonment he relinquish, what object of abandonment he relinquish, and relation to which sentient beings he relinquish. Such morality is described mundane perfections. If that very morality is free of attachment to these three spare in the form of the perceiving them as real. So that is to say, if it is sustained by the uncontaminated wisdom, realizing them as a non-perceivable, it is supermundane perfections. Hence, by these distinctions, morality is twofold. So three matters. If you practice among the 10 virtues, the killings, abandonment is act of killing, and who practice the myself, the person, and with whom you practice, like other persons, and your practice and yourself, all the absence of intrinsic existence. So with this kind of wisdom, and when you practice the morality, that's called supermundane morality. So if you think others intrinsically exist, my abandonment of the killing, act of killing, is also intrinsically exists. Myself too is intrinsically exist. And with that concept and the misconceptions, practicing the morality is mundane morality. Right. The mundane morality and the supermundane morality. A conclusion stating the quality of the ground. This Bodhisattva was born of the radiant moon of the morality, who is not of the secular existence, yet is its glory. The stainless, who like moonlight on an autumn night, removed the pain from the mind of the sentient beings. Just as the moonlight and autumn night is free of obscuring tint and help relieve people's the agony. Likewise, the Bodhisattva was born of the radiance moon of the morality, the second ground, which is free of the stain of immorality, the one who bears its name, the stainless, who is true to its meaning. He too removed the pain, engendered by the immorality from the mind of the sentient beings. As this Bodhisattva on the second ground does not belong to the class of those who revolve in the secular existence. So Bodhisattvas, although they are in the secular existence, they are not part of secular existence. So this is like, the lotus that born within the mud is not kind of, touched by dirts, but it's remained within the dirts, with the dirts, secular existence. He is not the secular existence, yet he is its glory. This is because all perfect qualities follow for such bodhisattvas, and because he has attained through the power of his aspirational prayers aimed for all sentient beings, the excellent cause of the becoming universal ruler, reigning over the four continents. This concludes exposition of the second ground of the ultimate awakening mind from illuminating the intent, an exposition of the entering the middle way. The second grounds. So it's kind of, talks about the importance of the morality and how you purified the morality and the divisions of the morality. Within the importance of the morality is the one that gives you the conducive, morality is the condition that makes you able to enjoy the result of the generosity, not just one life, many lives. So the flip side of that, immoralities cause falling in the lower realm. So from the lower realm, it is impossible to continuously practice the generosity, and it is difficult to rise up against the lower realm. And morality is also the foundation for the Hinayana practitioners who is seeking for liberations. And morality also essentially is the sole cause, or is the fundamental cause for the Bodhisattvas to continue their deeds in perfecting their 6 perfections. So even the Mahayana path, the Bodhisattvas, the failing the morality, or damaging the morality, or low esteem the morality, is still, they may cause again to bring the more obstacles in their path. So the Bodhisattvas, they're always paying attention in their moralities. So the monastic morality is called self-liberating. So I think this morality is to bring peace. So peace through the morality, right? From the beginning, as ordinary people, to the one who are on the path, or the beginning of the path, or the Bodhisattvas, right? So it become natural, right? And when you become the Buddha, So second ground is finished. Any questions?
I have a question about the Body Buddha.
Pratika Buddha.
Pardon? You said that
What is the question about?
it's about him not having a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
So, do they not have any teacher at all, or do they just assert they don't have a teacher?
I said they gain certain knowledge, confidence, while relying on the teacher.
Mhm.
Once they gain the convictions, they gain realizations. Next life, so they will born where there is no Buddha and Bodhisattvas. So the realizations always rely on the teacher. So once they gain the realizations, like for example, path of accumulations, path of preparations, until then they have to kind of rely on the teachers. So after that, so those particular Buddhas prefer to born where there is no Buddha and Bodhisattvas. So then they always says, I'm enlightened by myself, I'm no teacher. And they also have a sense of kind of, they always think that verbal, if you use much the verbal speech, it may obscure their path.
So, probably Buddha may have once been at a monastery, but they would never be born. Once they get their realization, they would never be born back, where they would have access to.
So this is why the Varanasi, Varanasi, where the first Buddha turning wheel of the Dharma, Four Noble Truths teaching. So when the Buddha born, and that in his what is called his no, the Buddha is not born in Deer Park.
Oh,
when the time the Buddha born, so there are many particular Buddha in Varanasi at the Deer Park. So they all sense now Buddha came. So now we have no job. We are not kind of need for the people. So Buddha will free all these sentient beings. So then the day the Buddha born, and then all they decided and fly in the sky says, now Shakyamuni will turn the Dharma. So then make it kind of, and then they cremate themselves and fold all the relics on the ground. So they're called sage falls, they're called. So they have kind of kept, preserved, blessed that area, right, for the Buddha to come to turn with the Dharma. So they don't have to kind of, because they, so they will continuously born in different places to benefit. sometimes Sage Falls, sometimes the Deer Park, of course. Deer Park is named after one of the Buddha's earlier life as a king at that area. So he raised this animal like a forest, like a universal zoo. So I think many lives, before the Bodhisattva, he was once a king at the time. So he protected those animals. So all the, right now you can still see the peacocks and the deers. There's so many. So he protect all the animals that hold that area. Then that king, he accumulates so much merit, and he gained some kind of special kind of superpower that he can physically fly to the different places. So there's a story of Buddha having, at that time he was not a Buddha, he's a Bodhisattva and a king. He fly to the king God realm, and the king of the god invite him, and so let him sit with the king of God. So suddenly that's Bodhisattvas. Kind of instantly they generate some sense of arrogance. Oh, I'm same. I'm sitting with the king of the god. And then from the few kind of short moments, he destroy all his merits. He falls back to this group. So this is the story told by the Buddha himself. Some kind of, very strong arrogance comes that destroys all the merits, and he falls back.
Good trip.
Yeah, good trip. Yeah. Any questions? There's no questions.
Can you go over the 10 non-virtues one more time?
10 non-virtue. From the body, the 3, right? Soju, majima, mezonju, killing, stealing, and the sexual kind of misconduct. Like generally is a sexual misconduct. And from the speech, the 4, zuyun tama, from the body, soju, majima, mezonju, right? And then from the speech, zuyun means lying, divisive speech, and harsh words, and the nonsense gossiping. And then the last 3 with the mental state. Napsim is the what do you say is the actually it's napsim is the attachment. Attachment particularly for things that belong to other. Covetousness, right? So not attachment like flower is like that. There's a particularly kind of focusing, having wanting to wanting the things that belongs to others, strongly wanting, right? Covetousness, napsim, and then harmful thought, right? With pinpoint, so kind of So remembering that he'd said this, so I'm going to do this. So there's some kind of with specific target, right? So these are the
the 10 non-virtue cause falling into lower realm.
The mind is covetousness and harmful thought
And the wrong view. Define as a wrong view. Now that, I think that all the religions, religion, they have this kind of 10 virtues. About the wrong view, there's different things. Right? For the, for the Christian, the Buddhist, the wrong view, right? Not believing in a creator. So we go down for them. So they see that we go down. So we say they go up. Anyway, so the wrong view here, within the Buddhists, the wrong view has to be lota, means some kind of the emotionally kind of abandoning. It's like saying emotionally kind of the refuting or denying the next life in the previous life. Emotionally denying the existing of the Buddha or liberations. And so these are the kind of the wrong view, is the wrong view, which may cause falling into the lower realm. Not just misconceptions. Misconceptions is not here the wrong view.
That's different.
Yeah, misconceptions is ignorance. Ignorance helps you to go born in a higher rebirth, because the grasping of self is the pillar that by relying on it, by the grasping of self, people have a fear to not to born, they fear falling in the lower realm because of the grasping of self. Right? I was kind of, my grasping of self may help you to generate or kind of fear to not falling into fear of falling into the lower realm. So therefore, I'm going to take the vows. So right. The wrong view is like something that is kind of emotionally, you are kind of denying or what do you call refuting, right? By saying that, I checked many times and it's not possible. Like next life, previous lives, it's all lie, right? So this, and then so I kind of examined the possible liberations. I could not really see it's possible. So I'm not going to accept it. I deny it. So this is a wrong, very, very powerful cause. May send you to the lower realm. Sometimes just by kind of imagining is quite very uncomfortable. It's emotionally denying things because sometimes it's not making sense to you, right? And then you kind of you think it's nonsense.
So this wrong view that we are refuting this kind of possibility of liberation is downfall action that we go to lower.
Yes.
But the wrong view of a misconception of reality, it's not downfall.
No. The misconceptions, ignorance is not a downfall actions, not a not the kind of immoralities. Misconception is just simply misconception means actively grasping at self, of the self of phenomena or self person, right? But in some way it is helpful for you can generate the bodhicitta compassion out of misconceptions. You can practice the morality out of misconception. But to purify the morality, to perfect the morality, then this misconception is not useful. To perfect, to purify the morality, you need the wisdom that understands the reality as it is. So, like it's yeah, same thing. Like attachment, we say, attachment is not good; it causes the suffering. But without someone's attachment, you cannot be born in a human being, right? So it is sometimes is a corporate condition, right? So someone's attachment is the corporate condition for your kind of uh, fortunately born as a higher rebirth. So Buddha Shakyamuni coming to the earth as a human being is the benefit from the attachment of his father. So I think this is very important. Just sometimes there is no one thing that is absolutely negative things. So we are always refuting the absoluteness, right? The objectifications. Even the suffering says suffering is that we all wanting to free from, but the suffering without the suffering, why human beings are more fortunate than the God beings. So it is compared to the God being, human beings, we have more kind of access to finding the teaching, the contemplating, generating compassion, taking vows. The God beings, they don't have these fortunate things. Because, right, so the human beings, there's more suffering. The suffering is making possible of your practice. Suffering of the sentient being. And the suffering of the sentient beings, we are able to generate the renunciation. Suffering of the sentient beings, we are able to generate compassion. Suffering is the through the understanding of the suffering, so we are able to find the path to liberations. So this is why from the Four Noble Truths teaching, Buddha says suffering to understand. So Buddha never says suffering to abandon, right? And the origin of the suffering to abandon is, right? Suffering is to understand. Understanding suffering is the way to free from suffering. Understanding the illness is the way to find the way to free from the illness. So without understanding the illness, and you do not know what medicine to take in order for, right, to cure yourself. So the understanding suffering. So I think it never says that suffering to abandon. Now, if you are not going to abandon the suffering, how can you find the path to free yourself from the suffering without abandoning the suffering? The free is kind of seeking freedom from the suffering is seeking, as we say. We are seeking, we are imagining, we are desiring to free from suffering. So which means is the future, right? The future of yourself, kind of free from this strong, intensity of the anger. Right? If I apply antidote to reduce much of the degree of the afflictive emotions, the tomorrow of me is more peaceful. Right? And that tomorrow of me, and by practicing the Four Noble Truths and the 16 attributes, contemplating on it, right? And that tomorrow of myself will be much peaceful. Right? So this is how the freedom from the suffering is like. Freedom is, we are not going to change anything in the past. the past is ceased to exist. There is no kind of application of entity to change, to abandon. Or any antidote the applying is not going to change the present. The antidote is going to change the future. Right? By the changes in the seed is going to change the sprout. Sprout is going to change leaves. Leaves going to change the branches and the flowers. Flowers going to change in the fruit. So this is how it changes. So the freedom applying antidote is not two kind of negative side, and one is the positive side, and simultaneously kind of the head-to-head fighting is not like that, right? By anything that's changing within this present, and there's much changed in that next moment. That continues changing, and this next moment of that again this. So this is how it's purified. So this is why the Four Noble Truths says, suffering to understand, origin of the suffering to abandon, the cessation to actualize, the power to meditate. So yeah, so today's the application of the antidote is not going to abandon, right, my previous life anger attachment. So the present not going to change, right? Their paths. So now, yeah, I think there's a debate. If the present is not going to bring any change to the past, so then this is the existing of the past is dependent on the present. So does kind of, does that mean the past is depending on the present? If the past is dependent on the present, so still the present is making change in the past, because the present is making existing of the past. So I think that's, this is how some kind of physics, they talk about the randomness, and then was the uncertain, right? They talk about within the cause, and some cause, there's things that some cause, the cause is not affecting on the effect. Effect is kind of affecting on the cause. So this is kind of, from my understanding, is this some kind of interpretation, speculations. So, but here, and applying antidote in the present is not going to change the past. So the existing of the past is dependent on the present, means existing of the past is, it exists as a knowable, it exists as a conventional, is depending on the conventional present, right? Present is not going to change that.
I'm a little unsure of this here because if we change our view of behavior and what's constructive behavior, and get a deeper understanding of how karma works, then we actually may change our view of the past. We may not be able to change things that occurred, but how we view the past can be affected by our actions in the present and what we become in the future. And so in a sense, if you say the past is interdependent with our perception or cognition of past events, even though those events are over, how we experience and interpret them, can you really disconnect? I don't know if you can really disconnect actual events from perceptions of the events.
Yeah, you can imagine, you can view the broken cup. So the cup that you really you liked, now today is broken. Just believing how good it is, or the qualities of the cup, just by imagining, is not going to make the existing of the cup that already broken. So, but you can imagine, you can invite the image of it today, but it's not really going to, right, making existing of what has broken. So here, the karma is a little bit, unlike the cup. Karma that you have committed in the past life or life before that, right, the karma. So karma that hasn't finished, karma that hasn't exhausted. So it has given a result one time, but hasn't complete. So that today, the result of that karma can ripen. So that ripening result of the karma that is committed in 2 lives before, right? So this is what we're saying. This result is making existing of the karma that has not dissipated. So not dissipated. Now, so this is how we say the karma has not dissipated. So the Vaibhashika school comes say, see, now this today result is making existing of the karma that is committed in 2 lives before. So which means karma still exists. And then we says, how there really exists karma? Karma that you have, it happened to be exist in 2 lives before. How can still exist? And then Vaibhashika says, it exists like the bank statement, right? So the Vaibhashika Prasangika school says, no, this is today's result is result. Yeah, this life's result is making, right, existing of karma that is not dissipated. So making existing of non-dissipation of the karma, not the karma to existing. Right. So today you have, for example, so for example, morning breakfast, the delicious breakfast that you have. So right, and the breakfast. So you can see the result in the evening, even in the tomorrow morning. So this whole the result, the effect, is going to prove the breakfast that I ate this morning has still not wasted, right? So now this does not mean breakfast that they ate in this morning is not wasted, does not mean breakfast is still existing with me. So the Prasangika school says, this is called non-dissipated karma. Non-dissipated karma means disintegration of the karma, the past of the karma. Is the indication of the past of the karma. So the path of the karma is exist, because their future. So their future, the path of the karma, their future continuously in making it existing. The path of the karma. Present is making existing of the past. Not what has passed is not going to make existing. So we are the result of the death of my previous life. I am, this life is the result of the death of my previous life. So, so this is the kind of, the death of my previous life is making existence of this life. So you can, but you cannot say the death of my previous life exists because of this present life. You cannot say, therefore, my previous life must have existed. So what has passed and the past of it are two different things. So these are different entities. A cup and a broken cup, right? Person and the death of the person. So it has to be different entity. So Babashikos, they don't really see the difference there, right? And ordinary people also, they think so, if the present is making existing of the past of something, so that means now this present may possible to travel to the past, right? Or he goes to the future and coming back to the present. Because 3 times do not physically exist. It's all, it's not really physically, because they do not exist intrinsically. So I think, coming from the Four Noble Truths, Buddha says, understand the suffering. Buddha, and the important thing is Buddha did not explicitly mentioning the suffering to abandon. So Buddha did not say suffering to abandon, but also Buddha says freedom from the suffering is possible. So you have to combine together, try to make sense out of it. Suffering is not to abandon, but the freedom of the suffering is possible. And freedom of the suffering is possible because if you apply an antidote to abandon the cause of the suffering, so I think you just reflect on these things. Freedom, suffering is possible. Suffering is not to abandon, suffering to understand. Yeah, okay. Chanchu semjo rinpoche, majepa na jeshuji, jeba nyamba, meba nya, kone kondo pebresh. Tonya tawa rinpoche, majepa na jeshuji, jeba nyamba, meba nya, kone kondo pebresh. Pama simje tamje dada denjuji, ngedro tamje tata tonga. Chanchu semba kanda sushupe, teta kunji, molum jomjiruji. Kare rawe kobe, shengazu, penda dewa, manu jowe ne. Chere semwa tinzi jato ye shabe, side bado denjuruji.
May the precious body mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May the bone have no decline but increase forever. May the precious mind, realizing emptiness, not yet born, arise and grow. May the bone have no decline but increase forevermore. Due to all these merits, may all Father and Mother sentient beings have all the happiness, and may all lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are Bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished immediately. In the sacred land surrounded by snow mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. O powerful Tenzin Gyatso, remain in this world until samsara ends.
Thank you very much. Yeah, bye-bye.